And now it's time to go to work. Well, what do you say after all those accolades and kind words? My real reaction to all of that is that I thank you for those. On behalf of Jay and myself and our families, Helen and Betty and Dick and Dan, who are so much a part of this company, and Sherry and all of our family members, and for Steve and David and Barb and Nan and all of the Anadel family. You know, it's a family affair, and I'm going to talk about that in a little bit because of the significance of family. But what I first want to do is to acknowledge to you, as I did out at the company the other day for some of you, that we live in a world that we believed, and Jay and I have always believed, our families have believed, was created by God. Now, I know that you don't all necessarily believe that. You come from so many different places and so many different cultures and so many different religions. And that's okay. We recognize that. We accept that. But as our partners in life and our partners in business, you need to know where we come from. You need to know what we stand for. And I want to work you through about 8 principles that come out of that faith structure. And I want you to remember them forever. This is going to be filmed, of course, and you will have it forever. But it's important that you understand some of these things as to why Jay and I did them. Because there's nobody else to tell you. And I will not be here always. And that's okay. I understand. Time moves on. The next generation is in place. And that's the important thing. And in our planning, it was our provision that it would move on. And it would stay in this family and these families. And so that the continuation of this program to protect you and your businesses is what they were told and admonished that was their responsibility forever. And that is the lesson to all of our family members and to those responsible for this business. That it is beholden to you, not to us, but to you. Because God has put us in a position of responsibility to protect what we have promised to you. And that means we have to protect the line of sponsorship. We have to make sure products and the plan all function. And that we have made provision for that. So that the checks flow. In good times and in bad. As I develop these 8 principles with you, you will understand them a little better. And you will understand why, when people say to you in the years to come, why did they do this? You will know why and why it was important that we did that. As a means of protecting your business. You and we are a society of great power in this world. Our potential as a societal group of people believing in each other and lifting each other and others up has a force potential in this world that there is no other like it. I can only imagine and dream what we will be and what you will be as you impact millions of more lives. We always worry about the dropout factor. I know there's a dropout factor. I know it should be reduced, but I also know all the people who dropped out who tell me how impacted they were by this business and how it improved their lives. Even though they didn't stay in, your impact on them continues. I see them every day, and they tell me about what you did to them and how you encouraged them and how they're doing things today they would not be doing if it had not been for this business, even though they didn't stay in it. That's okay. That's a tribute to you and how you are conducting yourself. That they are saying, yeah, I went to a Jaeger meeting and yes, I learned this there. And they say it about all of your meetings. And so this is a little heavy maybe, but it's serious business right now. It may be my last chance to ever talk to all of you like this. It may be the last chance we will ever be together in one place, here and in Las Vegas, where the true people who in the last 50 years have brought this business to where it is today, that we will be together to talk about these things. And then they will live on through you. And people who said all these nice things about me will be saying them about you. Because you will have touched their lives. I see Sam Renborg here, and I think about the Neutralite story and the heritage that we were given in our beginning days in Neutralite, which was the foundation of this whole business. But out of our 10 years, well, we're talking 60 years, 50 years here. Jay and I have been in this business 60 years. I was 23. Jay was 24 when we signed up. We called our company the Jari Corporation, J-A and R-I, a dash in between. Jari, Jay and Rich. And everybody else called us the Jari Boys because we were so young. And most of the other people were older before they had to be desperate in lives before they caught on. And we were kids. We were just looking for a business of our own. We'd already at 23 and 24. We tried at 3 or 4 businesses. Some had failed. None had really succeeded. Excuse me, they all succeeded momentarily for the time they were, but they didn't have the longevity. So when we looked at this business, it was always with, how do we build a business that lasts? How do we build something when you put so much effort into building this business that it is protected and rewards you over and over and over through generations? That's quite an assignment, but that's what's happened. And that didn't happen all at once. There was an original group of us that sat around. It was the Dutts and the Victors and the Hansons and the Walter Bass and a few others. And we just sat around and talked about it because we were all in Neutralite and we were talking about a new idea and starting another company. And they were all partners with us in that. And they entrusted Jay and I to carry it on and execute. But it was the combination of their experiences and our experiences out of which these things were formulated. Now, I know that's a lot of talk to just set the background. But I have to, I'm trying to impress upon you, you're the elite of the elite, you know. When we go to Vegas, we'll bring in some more. But you're the elite in the world. You're the ultimate achievers of the world of Amway. And so I want to share these things with you because you will protect them. You will carry them forward. Your integrity is what's going to be the symbols of our future. And that means we all had to grow up together and learn somehow not to do things. Because we all got in trouble in places in this world because of the way we did things improperly. or because we didn't stick to things tough enough. But now we know. We fought enough battles to prove the value of this plan. We pioneered this plan. When Jay and I started 60 years ago, people ridiculed us. Not because of our marketing method, because of who needs vitamins? Who do you quacky guys think you are? You think you're doctors or something? Nobody needs vitamins. Eat 3 square meals a day and you'll have it all. We used to have a specific thing that we taught our people about how to overcome the doctor objection, because as soon as we sold somebody, their doctor would tell them they didn't need it and they were crazy to buy it from us. And we had to overcome that, along with a lot of things. The Nutrilite Company fought a battle with the Food and Drug Administration for the rights of people like us to sell Nutrilite. It was a key battle. It determined the whole future of this industry. It was a key to the survival of this industry. Had we lost that one, none of this would have come to be. But we won because of some good lawyers and the persistence of Sam Renborg's father to see it through and say, we have a right to do this. There were forces that wanted to put us out of business. There were forces that wanted to say, no, only drugstores should sell. That was the real issue. And those are the issues you face every day. But there are forces in this world who want you out of business. There are government forces that want you out of business. Other government forces are just trying to figure out how to tax you. And all of those battles have to be won and fought in every country. Many years ago, we could have taken our money and run away and been okay. But we would laugh and say, no, we're in business because we want to be in business for ourselves. That was what drove our own business. We wanted to run our own business, just like you do. You wanted to take charge of your life and have something to say about what happened. That you could make a difference for yourself and your family. It was in your hands. That's why you're here. And you've done it. And we praise the Lord for that, and we thank God for you every day. God's hand was on this business. It is on this business. I don't know why. Within 10 days from now, I will celebrate the 12th year that I got a new heart. You see, you can't explain that one either. Because Dr. McNamara is here and Luis Tomatis is here, both of my doctors that helped make that all happen. They had to come and see if I was still breathing up here. See if I still had any life left in me. But I do. The significance of all of that was that the Lord's hand opened doors that shouldn't have been opened, but they did. Doctors did things that all logic says they should not do, but they did. Everybody rejected us, but one. And the one who said yes knew all the problem he would get into if he did, but he did anyway. And you know, that's the wonder of it all, and that's why you know God's hand was on it, and we've seen His hand on this whole reason you're here and we're here together. It defies just human explanation that we were so good or we were so smart or we were so great or what a wonderful plan. It's bigger than all of us, folks. And the responsibility you carry is bigger than that. And that's why you have been given and have in your hands a trust. Maybe a sacred trust. To bring to the world not only better health and better beauty, but words of encouragement and words of faith that lift people up. That's what you are called to do. And you know that. You know. I'm, as Jim Dornan said up here, there was no logical reason why he said yes to this business. He was an aeronautical engineer. He was a professional. But he said yes anyway, and it impacted him. But he said, I don't know why. There it was. And I look at Peter, and he's a big university professor, and I look at Chuck Straley, who just finished law school. I go through the list of qualified people. But my first point I want to make of the 8, I better get to it, don't I? Number 1 is, remember, you know it, everybody can join Amway. There are no restrictions and no requirements. All through the years we've had people say, why don't you tell us what kind of people to look for? We need a test of all the diamonds so we can determine who's really good and what kind of people are qualified, and we'll give them a test, and then we'll save all this dropout business. And we always said, no, we're not even going to listen to it. Because it was a principle. We didn't want restriction. We wanted anybody from anywhere, and as it's turned out, from any culture and any language and any place on the world, to be able to join this business, take charge of their life, and start anew. That's an important foundation, and it's a principle of the business. Don't mess with it. Opportunity for all. I know we have them drop out. I know they're not qualified. We used to have people come to the meeting, never sold anything. And I'd say, what do you keep coming for? And they say, oh, we love the meetings. It lifted them up. And I said, well, keep coming. One guy said to me, I come for the cookies. That's true. We served cookies and coffee after the meeting, and he was always there for the cookies. Sometimes we'd have a drawing, you'd just have a little prize tonight, or we'd have a little drawing, but some of those people who came never sold anything. And they were always the ones who won the drawing, After a while, Jay would kind of handle the way they passed out the tickets at the door, and that sort of helped the problem. But it didn't matter, you see. Those were people who contributed. There are people not in this room. They didn't qualify very far, but they brought you here. They were the link that brought you here. They didn't go anywhere, but you're here because of them. And that's the secret and the magic of our business. The openness of the opportunity. But that means another obligation that comes with that. I looked at Dexter and I thought, whoever would have let Dexter in if you had any rules? Who wanted a beer truck driver? Who would have let Charlie Marsh in? Who would have let you in? Who would have let us in? We had no qualifications of management or leadership. And neither did you, but you're here because the door was open. And as I look around the room, I see the faces of all of you who might not have been included, but you are included and you're at the top of it. I always remember Chuck Straley in the early days joined us, and he had just come out of law school, and I said, why would a guy out of law school join this business? Because he saw farther than we saw. And there are others like you, and maybe like Jim and Nancy, they saw farther. And that's the spirit, that's the wonder of it all. There's things that go on beyond what you and I know and see. Number 2 is a renewal policy. I know that's not a big issue for some of you, but I want you to remember why every year we ask you to renew and you ask your people to renew. That's because in the old Neutralite business, we had no way of getting rid of people. They would be on the list and they wouldn't do anything, but they'd take up computer room, we'd mail literature to them, and it was a drag on the company. And pretty soon we had a 50-cent rule. If the sponsor wanted to keep them in, they could pay 50 cents a month and keep them in. What a bunch of monkey business. But at least it was something. And we said, no, we're going to make them pay every year because that covers their cost of being in the line of sponsorship. That's an important feature. You know what that did? That meant there was no limit to the size of the business. We knew that at the time. We said, that means we can go anywhere. We can go as big as we want. We go to multi-millions. Because anyone who's in and they do nothing is not a drag on it. They can be there, they're not a drag. That's an important issue. You'll have that question a lot about, why do we have to renew every year? Don't they know I'm loyal to this business? Well, maybe you are, maybe you aren't, but at least you're going to pay the cost of keeping you in. Now you know why. It's an important issue. And just like being open to all people, we have to make sure our products and our programs work for all people. If all people can come in, we need products that all people can sell. You know, that's what drove us to selling soap. Nutrilite was a hard sell. Harder in those days because it was ridiculed. But it was such a hard sell that we said, let's sell soap. Everybody uses soap. Most everybody uses soap. Anyway. And that became an easier sell. So that some of the people who didn't have any skills could at least sell Nutrilite. Or or sell Amway home products or use them. That was a level of entry for people, which we're working hard at now to give them some food bars and other products that are easy to sell at the beginning as they learn. We all deal with people who say, I can't sell. Well, none of us in this room could sell. But we all learned, didn't we? It's a skill that anybody can learn. That's the key. But it's up to you to teach them. Don't buy that story that they can't sell. We started to make excuses for people who said they didn't want to sell. We just gradually taught them how to sell. So they sold to their friends and their neighbor and their mother and then maybe an uncle and an aunt. And pretty soon they gained confidence. I remember at our meetings, if somebody made one sale, we'd put them on the stage to tell about it. Maybe you don't do that today, but that was important. That was the biggest thing they'd ever done in their life. Making one sale. That's where you bring them from. And when they sponsor that first person, what an event, what a celebration. That's how you bring them along, isn't it? I know that, but those are the things that you keep in mind as you build your policies. Number 3 was the cash element of our business. Today, all of you in this room have a better understanding of that. As you watch the problem on the markets of people and loaning and all the borrowing, and everybody used to say, you can speed your business up if you'll give them the product on credit. And I said, if we give it to them on credit, they'll give it to their people on credit, they'll give it to their customers on credit, and they'll all go broke. You stick with a cash business, and everybody in the world that sees our business marvels that we can make that work so well. That's because they got into bad habits. And don't let people talk you into thinking that is going to change our business. It'll destroy our business. Keep it as an honest cash business, even if they use a credit card. Number 4 is the pass-through feature of the Amway plan. That was not in our business originally. Nutrilite struggled with how to do pass-through. And it was like a lightning rod that came into us. Jay and I took a big piece of what we call butcher paper in this country, a big wide sheet of paper that used to wrap meat in. And we rolled it out on the kitchen floor from wall to wall. And we got on our knees and we started to work the plan up from the bottom, from the first person who made a $50 sale, and then up here, and then a sale here, and nothing here, and some there, and a lot there. And we just worked all the combinations we could think of how the money would move from the top up. And the miracle of this plan is in the pass-through system. The other people who try to duplicate us and copy us always try to cheat because they want to slant the money into certain pockets. We have a plan that puts the money in the pockets of the people who do the work. That's the miracle of that plan. I remember the day when the guy who ran our little computer in those days came running down the hall saying, I got it. And I came out and said, what do you got? He said, I got the plan on the computer. You know what? That was a breakthrough day. That was a miracle day. Because up till then we couldn't pay a bonus until all the girls got up off their knees working the plan every day from the bottom up. And when it wasn't until we had the last entry of the last person in the line that we could start to process the payment of bonuses upwards. And the time that took meant that if we couldn't get that on computer, then we would be limited as to how far and how big we could go. Once they got it on the computer, the world was ours. This is a computer and a jet age business. It's built for this time, and that's why it works so well. It's up to date, pass through, unlimited ability, and it works all over. Number 5 is pass on. There are very few businesses in this world that automatically pass on the ownership of a franchise to the next generation. If you own an automobile dealership and the owner who started it dies, they do not necessarily give it to the wife or the children. They cancel it. Just like they're canceling automobile dealerships in this country now. They just cancel it. You see, we don't cancel. You self-eliminate when you fail to renew. That's the wonder of the business. These are things, folks, that you slide by and you just deal with them. But we work them through, and they are the works that make it work. Anyway, the pass on. You look at, I see the other day, Jody Victor came over to the house. I see Jody Dutt is here too. But Jody Victor came over to the house, he and Kathy, and they just came over for lunch. They were in the area, and we just chatted and marveled at their parents have been gone for quite a period of time, and now they're in the business, and now their children are in the business, and all of you are duplicating those things. And you put them in your planning, and your estate planning, and your financial planning, and you bring your children in young, and it begins to teach your children values. It teaches them telephone orderliness. It teaches them how to deal with people. When you have a meeting at your house, they learn to speak to them. You know, that's all a part of the culture you pass on to your children because you're in this business. Your children are head and shoulders above most kids because they're gaining experience every day in a business that they will someday own if they choose to. That is a fabulous system. Our sponsor is Neil Moscon. He's been dead, I'll bet you, 20 years. But Helen has a cousin who is a relative somehow of his, and he gets a check from the Moscone estate. Because that's how he set up his estate planning. So the bonuses that go into his estate, he's dead, he had a son, and they get some, but he didn't give it all to them, and they don't operate it. But whatever he had is there. His X is on the chart, and that money goes into his lawyer's hands or the bank's hands. They disperse it according to his instructions. This has been going on for all these years. It's better than an investment on the market today. Much better. I look at the Hanson family and the DeBlaze and Skip and Sue and their next generation. You look at the Yeager family, all their children are in this business. You know, many of you are from other countries, and I'm not as intimately involved with you. But, you know, you're of another period. You're the next generation. But these are the people I know. These are the children I know. These are the young ones we see. And we see how this has worked. But it also is working in the family of the company family as it moves on to their responsibility to carry this business forward. And so Steve and Doug are the guys now. Dick took this business with Steve through a very difficult period. Dan was in Japan and ran this company in there for a long time. Others worked in Ada. David was in manufacturing. They all were a part of it, and they're now a part of it. And they are always told they have a trust and a responsibility to care for this business. That's passed to them. They're trained in that. We hold family meetings for grandchildren that I'm starting to hold now for all the grandchildren, so we can train them and make them aware of how to handle these things. And how just to be responsible for the trust that's given. This is not something they play with. This is a trust they hold. Because of our responsibility to you. I remember when we decided to go to Canada, and we said, well, we don't know how to handle a plan and make it work over the back and forth between borders and money exchange, and we were just lazy. And then we got going up in Canada, and we found out, we didn't know how to do it very well. And so we opened the door, and I remember the Krause family, and I got over to Jim Jantz and Gordon. I can't even think of Gordon's name right now. And Bob Schmidt, who is here, and all that once was the beginning of the first international business. And from once we got that figured out, how to do that between countries, and had a fight with the Canadian government for a while, but we survived it. It's interesting how you get into entanglements when you're just minding your own business. Think you're doing it well, and one day you find out somebody's got it in for you. But I want you always to live in that awareness that there are always people who want to do us in. Don't ever forget that. There are competitors who are envious of you, who want to tear you apart, want to tear your business apart, want to take pieces of this business away. No one who's ever left this business has succeeded in any long period of time. No one. I know they're around, they're pests for a while. And they're not survivors because they skew the system. They skew it to take the money for themselves first. And then they hope the other guy gets it. You must remember, this plan is built on a concept of me second and you first. That's just the way it's got to work. And when you deal with your people and you bring a new one in, it's their success you need, and then you get rewards. And that's why people want to take a lot of money out of the sales kit, and it's against the law, first of all, to do that. It's part of our settlement with the government here that we would not put money in the sales kit as a profit. So there's no profit in the act of recruiting. The profit comes when you help that person succeed. That's a vital foundation principle. Help others first. And then you succeed. And so the international business was managed and moved on. It's one of your great secrets of this business. And I look at you people, and I talked to some people the other day from the Ukraine, and they're in the Ukraine, and they're sponsoring people in the United States and in Russia. And, at one time you guys were all our enemies. And now you're in our groups. What a wonderful thing. And that's why I speak of the social power of this business to bring people together. That is way beyond most things. My seventh point, I cover it only because it's such a routine mistake of others. And that is this old ground floor business. Everybody said, well, if I got in when you got in, I'd really be where you are. What a bunch of baloney. Because the people today start with a better deal than you started with whenever you started. And what they will do in the next 50 years will make what we have done look like amateur work. Because of the foundation you have laid for them. And this is a secret, that the plan is just as good in every generation that it comes through. That's a real powerhouse, guys. And you know it. That you can say to somebody else, I know I got a big business, but you got the same deal I had. You're just starting later with a better opportunity. These are sales things that you bring out every day. I know I'm repeating things you know, but you don't always know the history of how they came to be. And how easy it would have been to fudge and cheat on these. And how often we've tried. And many of you have tried. And I have to admonish you to stick to these things. That's what really being a Christian is all about. You've been saved, and you've been saved to serve. And to enrich the lives of others. And that's why you put them ahead of you. And then you come out on top. That's the wonder of all that. And when you help other people to better health, you're the winner. And they're the winner. I have people who read my new book and they say, I'm using your phrases. And I hope they feel better, because I sure feel better telling them. That's the payoff you get of doing some good. And so most of us rejoice today when our people succeed, don't we? And I would only add a little line in here, a free piece of information. Make sure you can get out of the way so your people can come up. That's a difficult thing. It was difficult for me. The Lord took me out and made me sick, so I had to get out of the place. So Dick could take over. Dick became impatient. He didn't think we'd ever get out of the way. That's true. So he said, I guess I'll do something else. I'm not going to sit and wait for you guys to decide to get out of the way or drop dead. I'm going to go on and do something with my life. I'm getting older. So make sure the people coming up under you, or your children coming up under you, are put up on the stage and you sit and applaud. Learning to applaud those coming up below you is the secret to transferring. As Jay and I applauded Steve and Doug and Dick and Dan and all the other kids who had run the business, and David, and I don't want to leave anybody out, but they were all working the business, and we were just encouraging them because they were doing so good. And you know what? The next generation is smarter and faster and got more energy than you have anyway. You've traveled enough miles, you've put enough meetings on, you can let the other guy do it for a while. It's okay. I'll give you my permission. The ground floor thing only gives me another little thing I have in my notes here, and that is buying a position in the business has been one of the biggest rackets going in multi-level. It's an old game, and that is, instead of working your way up to become a platinum, as we call them today, you just buy that amount of product and we'll make you one right now. That caused riots in China. that caused the Chinese government to close us up because somebody else was doing it. We weren't doing it. Other people were doing it. They said, we're following the Amway plan. No, they're not following the Amway plan. Amway doesn't permit inventory loading. We do not permit buying a position. Every person in this business who's in leadership earned the position. And when you listen to someone speak who's wearing a pin of ours, you know they got there the same way anybody else got there. They earned it. And you can respect them. I remember Bill Campbell used to teach us how to stand up and applaud when they were introduced. He said, you can applaud them. You don't have to wait till they speak. Applaud them for what they've done. And I thought, what a wonderful idea. And so we all do that now, don't we? I remember Bill Campbell talking about that. Bill Campbell, by the way, is another one of Yeager's cohorts and sponsorees and so forth. More of Rome, New York. Out of there came some of our best people. Riots. Inventory loading. Illegal. And my 8th point is a proven system. And I can share with you only some of the history of what we have fought for. And you have put up with. We have fought with governments and companies and many people to protect this plan. We do not walk away from a fight. Michael Moore, our head legal guy, he's ready for you if you want to take him on. We are willing to spend the money to protect this plan and your business. And we have won virtually all those cases. I don't know any of that we've lost of significance. The last big one was in England, you know. And they kicked us out of the country because they said we weren't conducting ourselves properly. And as soon as we heard that, we changed the way we did business there. And we forced a lot of you to change the way you do business. We said, we can't let this go on. We've got to change to make these people happy because they have the power to kick us out. They do have that power. Somebody just got mad over there. Just like some guy in some province of India. He just doesn't like us. And so he closes you up and he makes grief for the people in India. And we have people like that in Canada and elsewhere in this world who do these things. You and I have to be prepared to fight them. You have to stand with us when you go through that. It's not because somebody screwed up. It's just because somebody wants to do us in. But that's the battle of life. And that's what free enterprise is all about. It's standing up for what you believe in. Fighting for the rights of people to be free to own their own business. People don't like that oftentimes. They want to control your business. We want you to control your business. And we want to work in a free society wherein possible. I know in China we can't do that. They say you can't own your own business. They can say that. We're going to work to change that. But more than that, we're going to treat the people as though they do own it and give them all the privileges and benefits insofar as we legally can, as if they did. Because that's the way we do business. And that's our commitment to people all over the world. But those are forces against us. But we have proven that we can take them on, whether they're competitors who try to steal your distributors or whether they're countries who don't like us because we're a free enterprise company. Because we fight for you to be free to own and run your own business. And that war will go on. And that will strengthen us. But you can live in the assurance that we will fight together. I would end with one little story, and the things I've been sharing with you because I should have started with it. Many years ago, W.R. Grace and Company, a big chemical company in this country, tried to buy us. And they sent one of their top people over, and we said, we'll talk to you. And we were a little company. I don't think we had anything except our home products group at that time. And And so their man came over and he told us all that deal, and he offered us a lot of money. And after we got all through, Jay and I said, we're happy to have you come over and tell us all this. We were only interested in having you tell us what you thought we were worth. We're really not for sale, and we're in our own business. We're not interested in taking the money home. We never ran this business to sell it and dump it and run. We ran this business to be in business with you. That's our commitment. But anyway, he tried, and then finally he said, well, if you don't sell, we're going to start a company against you. A home products company just like yours. We hired a guy who sells Bibles, and he's going to run it, and he knows how to do this door-to-door stuff, as he called it. He didn't understand it at all. When he left, I said, I'm going to give you a sales kit. It's got the sales plan in it. You'll see how we did it. And you'll know. So you do it right if you're going to do it, will you? And he said, thank you. And he took the kit and went home. And many years later, I ran into Mr. Grace himself, the owner of that company and the president of the company. And he met in a little airport someplace. And I said, well, Mr. Grace, so nice to meet you. I'm with Amway. You remember, your guy came over and we talked about buying. And then you told me you're going to start a home products company. And I said, tell me, how has it gone? He looks at me and he says, you know damn well. It went broke. Oh, I said, I heard that. I said, I don't understand it. I gave the guy the sales kit. Told him how to do it. And he was a big man and older. He was older. He might have been younger than I am today, but he was an old guy. And he poked his finger in my chest and says, young man, you left something out. And what I've been sharing with you is what was left out. That's the message he never got. And that's the message none of our competitors ever get. And if you watch them try to steal your people, it's all with side deals and payoffs and all the crooked things that I've been talking about. That when you and I uphold them, we move on. And so we move on in confidence. I'll not be here the next big party you have, probably. But whenever you have it, remember this day and the founding principles that you have to protect. Putting the other guy first. They win, and then you win. We always cheer the customer and the new guy on. When we cheer him on, we all win. And we are going to have a future and an impact in the world for health and beauty and encouragement that goes way beyond the business. So keep your faith. Stay loyal to your organization. Cheer them. Stand for them. Stand with us. We will stand with you together to make a big difference. And thanks for coming here, and I'm looking forward to seeing you all in Vegas. They're going to let me go there. I qualified for both. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.